have always seen is the market growth is so much, and the depth of the market grows so much. The initial concerns go away soon. So the market starts developing.
What you're saying is that the medium to long term, this is a step in the right direction towards deploying money into long-term equity investing as against near-term trading. But for businesses like yours, and there are investors that are watching as well, the stock's lower, what could the near-term impact be if you could quantify that?
I don't think it will be possible to quantify. I'll tell you the reason. We are presuming a static thing of a change will have an impact on a dynamic thing. When the market is dynamic and growing, and as you also said, in the mid and long term, it looks like being a good thing to happen. So it will not be possible for us to say that, first of all, there will be a dip, and if there is a dip, it will be so much.
But you do have the benefit of experience, right? You said it's not the first time something like this has happened. The last time this happened, what was the initial impact?
I don't think there has been any dip. The market has taken it and in its stride, and it has grown. So I feel that the same thing will happen. Please understand, India is a growing economy, and in a big way growing economy. And this type of stuff will immediately have some dip to start with as a thought process. And in the coming days, it will go, and people will understand the impact of investing in equities market, and therefore there will be larger scale capital formation.
What do you think the government could have done in this union budget to, attract the FIIs back into the market?
I think there has been already a move in respect of PROIs. And there has been a lot of efforts put on addressing the tariffs, tariffs affected areas, for example, textile, chips, etc. I think that these are all positive things to be looked into.
All right, and we're also speaking at a time when there has been an approval for the NSE's IPO. And typically when a leader lists in the market, we do see a rub-off on all the others as well. So what are your initial reactions on that?
Initial reaction is congratulations NSE, and this has been a great thing. And SEBI, as promised, has delivered within the stipulated time, this NOC. I have shared this even before in CNBC. We are extremely glad and happy, and we are very happy, and we wish all the best to NSE.
All right, and we wish all the best to you, your volumes, and your market share going forward as well. Thank you so much for joining us on this occasion. With that, it's back to you guys in the studio.
Well, thanks very much, Mangalam, for that. 7% lower on BSE, though, for now. There is that impact which is coming through. Mr. Ramurthy was confident that markets will look through this in terms of increases. This increase itself is significant, right? 50% on options and 150% on futures. Yash is here with some numbers in terms of what this translates into. Yash, run us through that math.
Well, Prashant, if you remember, just yesterday, there was this slight bit of conversation from market participants about, STT on derivatives going up. Of course, yesterday it was only chatter, but today it certainly came through as far as that budget document is concerned. STT on equity options to be hiked to 0.15%. From the current 0.1%, that's a 50% hike, and STT on equity futures hiked to 0.15% from 0.05%. That's about 150% hike on equity futures. Just one important clarification, because this was a bit of confusion amongst market participants, that this STT hike, or the securities transaction tax hike, only applies on equity transactions and not on commodity transactions. There has been no change as far as commodity transactions are concerned. But as far as numbers are concerned, and the numbers are today reflecting as far as stock prices of the market, capital market companies are concerned. Angel One, as per FY25 revenue, it contributed 44%. This is the contribution of equity derivatives transaction to the revenue. Angel One, it was 44%, BSE, it was 55%, and the National Stock Exchange, or NSE, it was 70%. Just yesterday, there was also a tweet from Nitin Kamath on the same issue, saying that the projected STT collection for FY25-26 was about 78,000 crore rupees for the government. The government till January had collected about 45,000 crore rupees. An estimated another 12,000 crore rupees by March would take the government to about 57,000 crore rupees, still giving a shortfall of about 25% to that projected number of 78,000 crore rupees. It wasn't unlikely to be met in the current financial year, and hence that shortfall somehow trying to be made up for as far as the coming financial year with that increase in STT is concerned.
All right, Yash, thank you very much for that. You know, Ramdev Agarwal earlier telling us that, I mean, where this makes a difference is basically HFTs, high-frequency traders, etc., who are trading in and out, I mean, 1 million times a day. Then that starts to incrementally hurt. You know, the dampening effect on volumes, etc., and things like market depth. I mean, you know, we'll have to see if all that comes through, but these are big increases with the government, of course, with an eye on the revenue. Data centers, we've heard unambiguously from everyone we've spoken to so far, as the absolute big one. Vinny is here with, and of course, with feedback from companies that she's spoken with in terms of what this would mean and how large this could be. Vinny, take it away.
Hi, so yes, an important announcement that's coming for data centers. Obviously, Nirmala Sitharaman announced that major tax holiday till 2047 for foreign companies, cloud service companies that are providing and using India data centers to serve globally. But they'll also have to provide their Indian entity or any tie-up that they have would have to provide to Indian customers as well. Now, why does this become important? It's because, do not forget, in 2025, we've seen many big players actually come into data centers, whether you look at Reliance, AWS, Adani, Google. We have all these making a total investments, including some other companies, of $63 billion. So obviously these tie-ups become important. They push the data center infrastructure in the country as well. And obviously today we saw all those stocks buzzing in trade, whether you look at an Anantraj. Now that is a company that is into data center for a mainly increasing their capacity. They are into the real estate side. So infrastructure boxes that are made, that is from Anantraj. Then there's E2E Networks, that's a cloud infra company, Netweb Technologies, Orient Pro, all of these are into AI and data center technologies. Now obviously the whole value chain will start benefiting, and we've spoken about this before as well, that value chains, like whether you look at something like these capital good companies or even cable wire companies, all of them come into use. The whole value chain will start seeing benefits coming in. ABB, Siemens, Hitachi Energy, some of the other names, as well as Voltas, are some of the names that would start seeing a benefit, and that's why these stocks become important in the trading session as well.
Okay, all right, Vinny, thank you very much for that. You can see visuals coming through from New Delhi, the finance minister. As always, the post-budget conference, typically the post-budget conference happens after market hours and kicks off, I think, used to be at about 4 o'clock or so. And of course, she's flanked by her secretaries on both sides, Revenue Secretary, Finance Secretary, and I think the other top secretaries of the Government of India very much part on the dais. So they will be, of course, the Finance Minister who will sort of, lay out what the highlights of what was laid out in the budget, kind of sort of give an overview. Perhaps a secretary or two also chips in, and then there'll be a Q&A session. That's how typically the post-budget press conference will proceed. Our colleague Sapna Das is with us, and we have other colleagues there as well. So that is the post-budget press conference coming through right now. Let's cut across.
The secretaries, you've heard the entire budget being presented in the Parliament. So as opening remarks, I'll just highlight some of the points which we want to draw your attention to. But subsequently, of course, we'll answer all your questions. All the secretaries are here with me. So this budget being the first one, as the Honorable Prime Minister said 2 days ago, this being the first one for the second quarter of this century, also leading towards Vikasit Bharat 2047. We are laying the path and giving a push to the economy to maintain the growth momentum. And for that growth momentum or sustained economic growth, which we want to ensure, primarily we are looking at building the ecosystem with structural reforms which will go on. Reforms have been carried out. We are continuing to do the reform activities. So it will continue with an aim to make sure that we create enough environment for improving productivity and making sure employment is generated. by technology. So we will ensure that technology is brought in to benefit the common man, to make sure common man benefits in the sense of ease of doing living, or for his business to prosper, or for farmers for greater productivity or better logistics, whatever. So technology for benefiting every common man. And above all, with all this, inclusive development. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, and that is why you heard me bringing in schemes which have good allocations for bringing better health facilities, creating a cadre of people, not cadre in that sense, but a bulk of people who can come in as health workers, paramedics, and so on, and also making sure we are able to provide dignified opportunities for Divyangjan. Mental health has also received a lot of attention. So these are the side for Vikasit Bharat and making sure Sabka Vikas hoega. But the idea is the advantage and the momentum that we gained since after COVID by increasing public capital expenditure will continue. We've announced that 12.2 lakh crores are coming through public expenditure this time. It is 4.4% of the GDP. I'd like you all to please notice that, which is the highest, at least in the last 10 years. It could even be highest if you were to take data earlier. No increment in capital expenditure, sustained fashion, has happened ever before. This one marking 4.4% of the GDP. Then what are the kind of things which will happen through it? You will have dedicated freight corridors. I've named Dankuni in the east, Surat in the west. Then I've also highlighted that 20 new national waterways, not national highways, national waterways are being planned. And again there, those are going to pass through some of the critical mineral areas. Orissa, where the mineral-rich state, you have the waterways taking it to the port, and the two ports have been identified, Paradip and Dhamra. Similarly, we are also making sure that the coastal cargo movements will be enabled through a cargo route, so that through the coastal area we are able to cut down on cost of movement of goods. City economic regions, developing them is a very big new measure that we are coming up with. And for that, an allocation of 5,000 crore per city economic region. Imagine the amount, 5,000 crores in 5 years, 1,000 crore per year per city is being given, and the emphasis is going to be largely on tier 2, tier 3 cities. And then talking of infrastructure further, with the capital expenditure coming with the big number, you're having also the high-speed rail corridors. 7 of them announced. The destinations are clear, so that they become the bridge for all these economical robust centers. So those are for making sure that the infrastructure and the capital expenditure are getting tied up, and the country benefits from the ripple effects that these can bring in. The 7 strategic and frontier sectors in which we've highlighted that will increase productivity and also have new investments come in and give emphasis for India's own brand on those things is on the biopharma sector. I think that's going to be a big change in the way in which we are looking at giving capacity for those who are able to research, who are able to undertake research and development. So 10,000 crore initiative again over 5 years for domestic biologics and biosimilar production. This is a clear message and backed with enough substance that India's lead in the pharmaceutical sector should be kept intact, but at the same time bring in newer ways of helping the pharma sector, and also because it has an impact on human health. Semiconductor mission had 2 major announcements that will improve the India stack and also the IP related matters. Electronic components manufacturing scheme for 40,000 crores is a major encouragement for electronics to become self-sufficient. We have also announced establishing rare earth corridors so that India can face and be able to meet its own requirements with its materials. So once we identify and are able to explore these minerals and process them, make them available for us, our dependency on external sources for bringing in the rare earths will be lesser. And we've identified the states where we want to establish this rare earth corridors. They are going to be in Orissa, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. So these are very important developments, and they are going to have multiple decadal impact on the Indian economy. Our dependence on magnets and rare earths will be brought down. 3 dedicated chemical parks, again for reducing our import dependence. High-tech tool rooms for research. That will be set up in 2 locations. Very important thing is about the construction equipment being imported. That could be for building tunnels or metros or high energy and also heavy duty equipments which we are relying on imports. We want to manufacture them in India. And that is why I said, how does it affect a common man? It affects because firefighters today have novel, new, big ticket and small, very small firefighting tools and weapons or equipments. We don't have them in this country. That's why if there is a fire accident in some very congested area, our equipments are not able to reach those points. Whereas there are equipments which today are produced abroad, which can navigate those small corridors and go save people's lives. Whether they or huge ones, all of which we want to make sure that we will have production in this country itself, whether they are tunnel boring or anything else, from small to big, we want to bring in those very impactful infrastructure into India. So we'll support domestic manufacturing. Then container manufacturing is another, which we'll support. I think I've gone in detail talking about the textile support in various forms. One very important announcement was made, Mahatma Gandhi Gram Swaraj initiative, which will make sure khadi, handloom, handicrafts will all be brought in, and one district, one product will all be brought in this initiative, and we'll be able to support rural artisans, rural workers, and handloom weavers in those areas. Legacy industrial corridors have got saturated. Manufacturing happening there is now very constricted because they are not able to bring in newer robotics and others. So we want to upgrade these legacy industrial clusters so that they become cost competitive and efficiency comes into these places. Even more important is the champion MSMEs, small and medium industries, entrepreneurs, MSMEs, who are going to be given all the support, and 3-pronged approach is being taken up there. We are giving equity support, we are giving also liquidity support, above all professional support for them, so that MSMEs, the equity support is supported by a 10,000 crore SME fund, growth fund. Above all, we are also topping up the Self-Reliant India Fund with 2,000 crores. So MSMEs should not feel any dearth of resources for equity. Similarly, they shouldn't feel any difficulty for liquidity in their hands, because the TREDS platform will now be treated almost as a backed up, security backed up instrument with which they'll be able to discount and get their monies. For professional support, we're working with the Chartered Accountant and Cost Accountant institutes so that they can create corporate mitras who can help these MSMEs in filing their returns, doing their accounts, and so on. Above all, for youth and training, there's so much. You've heard this speech, so I won't want to take your time on it. High-powered education to employment enterprise, standing committees being formed so that they can recommend measures for service sector as a core driver of Vikasit Bharat. Part B concentrated a lot on tax and related concessions that are being offered. More importantly is the process simplification which has been announced. So elaborate measures have been taken. You will be able to also seek clarification if you want. New export opportunities for fishermen who can go into the economic India's zones, high seas, and also assess and access the global markets. The one very touching, and I really was moved by this proposal, is where we have identified 17 drugs or medicines which are going to be basic custom duty exempt, which are important for cancer patients. Similarly, 7 more rare diseases are added to the import exemption list of the import duties. Baggage clearance and personal items which you bring in when you travel are all being given enhanced duty-free allowance. Besides that, there are quite a few direct tax and indirect tax proposals. Decriminalizing the penalty proceedings and support to the IT sector are some of the high points. As an opening remark, I'll conclude here. I'm sure you'll be able to ask questions and seek clarification. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll start this question, taking the questions. First question is 17. 17.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Shishir here from Hindu Business Line. Ma'am, my question is that under the miscellaneous capital receipt, the provision is 80,000 crore rupees. And last year, the provision was 47,000 crore, which has been reduced to 37,000 crore rupees now. Does this mean that there will be more equity monetization this year, or there will be more focus on the asset monetization of CPSEs?
So you've got it rightly. The intent is that we will have a very strong asset monetization plan in place. Last year, ma'am had announced in the budget that there will be a pipeline prepared, which is being done. So we hope to reap the dividends from that.
238.
Ma'am, Timsi Jaipuria, this side from CNBC TV 18. I just wanted to know the rationale behind the hike in STT in futures and options.
So, first of all, I believe some confusion. In fact, the question that you have asked rightly reflects the announcement itself, that the only change made in STT is in the future and options. All the other STT rates remain the same. The primary objective of raising the tax rates on STT has been that it is felt that when you look at the volume of transactions in futures and options, whether you compare it to the size of GDP or size of the underlying securities market, it is largely in the realm of heavy speculation, which results in losses to small, retail, unsophisticated investors. And the government's intention is to discourage speculative tendencies, and the increase in rate is essentially in that direction. So it is meant to essentially handle the systemic risk in derivative markets. Even after this increase, however, the rates of STT will remain modest compared to the volume of the transactions that is happening there. This is the reason.
54.
मैम तरुण शर्मा फ्रॉम जी बिजनेस. मैम आपने पूरा बजट जो है वो न्यू एमर्जिंग सेक्टर पे बड़ा फोकस रखा है. मैम मेरा सवाल आपसे दो हैं यदि आप अलाउ करें. एक, मैम आपने जो एक्साइज ड्यूटी का कैलकुलेशन किया है वो पिछले बजट एस्टिमेट से इस बजट एस्टिमेट में तकरीबन 22% की ग्रोथ देखने को मिली है. दूसरा, मैम जो आपने एमएसएमई के लिए कहा कि जो ट्रांजैक्शंस होंगे उसके लिए आप एक्सचेंज प्लेटफॉर्म का यूज़ करना होगा, तो क्या मैम ये सीपीएसईज के लिए कंपलसरी होगा जो डिस्काउंट ट्रेडिंग की जो बात है? थैंक यू.
I'll take the second question, ma'am. So, हाँ, ये CPSEs के लिए मैंडेटरी होगा कि डिस्काउंटिंग एज वेल एज नॉन डिस्काउंटेड बिल्स दोनों को ही ट्रेड्स पे करना होगा ताकि वो 45 दिन में भुगतान एमएसएमई को कर पाएँ, और ये हर तरह से चेक कर लिया गया है कि ये हो सकता है. सो वी वांट टू मेक CPSEs एज पायनियर्स. We hope, like ma'am has said in her speech also, that other corporates will also follow.
On excise.
Increased by 22%, sir, from last year B to this year.
Because there is a, from 1st of February, all the tobacco products have come back into excise, and all those revenues will account for the increase of the next year.
209.
Ma'am, Prakash Predashi from ET Now. The budget has announced restructuring of PFC and REC. What will this restructuring look like? And does this also mean that these NBFC will be merged going forward?
What is the later part of your question? That these NBFCs are not going to?
Merged going forward?
Yeah, I've said we are rationalizing it. You'll get to know as we go forward. We want to streamline it, and therefore we'll be taking some steps. We'll let you know the moment we decide how to go about it.
234.
Hello, ma'am. Harsh Kumar from Business Standard. Ma'am, two questions. One is, you said that a high-level committee will be formed on the banking reforms in order to 2047. Are we going further for any kind of merger or something? Since government is continuously saying that we need at least two of the big banks, in at least of the top 20 banks. So are we going towards that?
No, first of all, when I say that it's going to be a high-level committee which is going to look into it, the terms of reference will be prepared, and we are looking at committee to go into the entire expanse of the banking sector so that they come up with recommendations which help us to plan for banking for 2047. We need, by the time we become a Vikasit Bharat, 2047 is our goal. We need to understand what are the other steps that we need to take in the banking area, and based on the recommendations, we'll go forward. But we have the Secretary, Department of Financial Services. We'll ask him to also give us, please.
Ma'am, I think you have rightly responded. There are a large number of aspects relating to the banking requirement. For example, the credit to the GDP, commercial credit to the GDP ratio low, and the expansion of the banking network, and what kind of procedures currently we have that is impeding both the deposits as well as credit. All those aspects will be looked at by an expert panel, a committee, and well, we will definitely have TOR, and then also consult the all the stakeholders, and the government will take a view on how to lay strong foundation for 2047 Viksit Bharat.
Ma'am, one more question.
229.
Okay, well, that is the finance minister and the secretaries with her in terms of the press conference which is underway. We'll go back to it and sort of, get you more. 400 lower on the Nifty now. Amit Jeswani is with us to run us through what he made of things. Amit, there are, good afternoon, there are positives and allocations, data center, and there is buyback taxation, and there is stuff there, right? But this STT thing has kind of thrown cold water. And it's only local investors today. Foreigners will come back tomorrow. I spoke to Ramdev Agarwal. He said, well, we'll have to, and I'm quoting him, he said, we'll have to see how furious FIRs are when they come. Now, I don't know. What's your sense, Amit?
Hi, Prashant. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Prashant, it's a tough budget, to be honest, and it's a tough day on the street as well. Let's be honest, this hike in STT was not expected. And we are seeing our portfolios being down 2%, and that's the case with Nifty as well. So broadly, it's a tough budget. There was no green shoots in this budget, nothing to write back home. See, the small 2-3% here and there moves is good for newspapers, but it doesn't move the markets, right? We are stock market people. And the thing is that there are no trends. That's the problem right now, because gold and silver volatility has increased a lot. and now you have a budget STT hike. So we need to find newer trends. That's the whole game. That once your risk management phase ends this time, we will have to see can we allocate the incremental capital and which are the trends. See, it's earnings season. We will get good opportunities. For us, it's all about where do we see incremental growth, and that's where we'll keep adding our weights.
Okay, all right. Hi, Amit. Good to see you in. Well, market's a shade of red itself. The last time around you were talking about MEGA. Make India great again. The markets have underperformed actually in the last 1 year. Do you think there's no reason for us to actually outperform from here on? Earnings growth could come about. We're not cheap. And this budget, at least for the equity markets, has been a bit of a dampener. Go ahead.
So Nigel, even before the budget, the stocks that were doing well were basically commodities and somewhat gold-related counters and some PSU banks because of value being the theme. If commodities have already fallen 20-30% from stocks have fallen 20-30% from last time I came here, that was like a week ago. Of course, even gold-related stocks have fallen 10-12%. So that trade is right now is going to consolidate. That's what you need. If you're going to sell these things now, you need somewhere to put in your capital. And the markets are going to stay flat till we don't have a new leader. See, every bull market needs a leader. 78% of global returns in the last 1 year have come in AI or semicon related stocks in the world. So market needs a bull market leader. There's no leader. Where do we go? That's a problem that most portfolio managers will face.
Amit, I'm trying to clutch on for some kind of positives for the equity market. Do you think the kind of meltdown that we saw in precious metals, gold, silver, that actually could be some kind of a blessing for equity investors? Because otherwise there was some money that was moving towards those asset classes. Now there's a shakeout over there after a while. Everyone's woken up again. You rather allocate a higher proportion equities. Do you think that's the way to go? Could that be a bit of a blessing that precious metals actually have seen some kind of a jitter or some kind of a shakeout?
Actually, the guys who are putting money in precious metals were stock market investors only.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now they come back, right?
They will come back. They've lost money. Actually, they've lost confidence. And see, losing capital is okay. Losing confidence is not okay at all. In bear markets, bull markets, do not lose capital. Even if you've lost some money in gold, silver, I think gold will make a comeback once it stabilizes. Silver, God knows. But don't worry, gold will, till Trump is there, you have a hedge. Gold is a great hedge. Not that I have positions, but gold is a great hedge. And in this dip, maybe a good buying opportunity. It's a Trump put, right? You always had Fed puts, but gold will act as a Trump put all the time. And at lower levels, at $4,500 or lower, I would say gold becomes super interesting because it will act like an uncorrelated asset to equities, and it will hedge your, you don't have to look at Truth Social every morning.
Yeah. The market, the old joke, right? Not an old joke, new. Market falls 2%, the truth will change. That is also true. But anyway, we should put this out. What the DEA secretary, the pain point for market is STT. The DEA secretary has said STT increased because of high speculation in the F&O market. High speculation in F&O market resulting in losses for retail investors. And despite increase in F&O STT rates, the hike is modest, and this is modest as compared to volumes which are traded. We should actually put this out at the bottom of the screen in terms of those flashes. We were talking about commodities, right? Now, Amit, STT on equity has been increased, but CTT on commodities has not been increased. Now, that is another googly.
So logics only God and Nirmalaji can tell you. I don't know what logics work out there, so I don't know what to say.
No, actually, it is a signal that आप equity में देखे commodity, So all these high frequency chaps will move to commodity now. I don't know. There are options in commodities.
See, commodity, actually, there's no open interest. Even if you look at silver open interest, yesterday I was looking at silver open interest. Silver open interest was 8,000 lots. That was worth 2,000 crores. So actually in MCX, there's no large open interest that happens. It's just a lot of speculation that happens, and a lot of guys who want to hedge between this and COMEX, and dwellers who are there, they keep hedging. That's the only kind of there is no open.
But Amit, total open interest in options in MCX is quite large, isn't it?
No, I was speaking about futures, not options.
No, I'm talking about options.
Futures. Futures was 8,000 lots.
I see. No. I'm talking, okay. Okay.
That's not a lot. That's 2,000 crores. So that's not a large number that people got disrupted, etc. Just look at open interest of F&O. That is that is how I look at it.
Okay. Now,
so it's not like, sorry.
You own MCX, Amit, I know. So you still own it?
See, I would be buying or selling MCX today, so I can't speak about MCX today. I can't say what I'm doing.
Okay, all right, no problem. I won't press you. Anything else you've done today? You've been net reduction, net addition to put.
There's no addition to the portfolio today. Mostly it's just managing risk. See, we have to manage risk. We're risk managers. So we have to manage some risk on the portfolio, but no large addition today. We need to rethink, it's been a long day, to be honest. And our portfolios are down 2% today. So we need to rethink what the next strategy will be. But rethink will happen once 3:30 happens. I'm waiting for 3:30 on a Sunday.
All right, just one final question then. Any new trends? You said that you're waiting for the new trend to emerge, what the next leader of the market could be. Do you want to give us some ideas here?
No, so we don't know new trends yet. There has to be earnings growth. See, auto numbers today were really good. All auto numbers are good in general. M&M was 25%, TVS was 29%. I'm just giving you random names. Some we may have vested interest. Me, my clients, my family have vested interest in whatever I speak. But auto numbers look okay. GST collection looks okay. See, there are no new trends right now. Right now, the whole game is how to protect my portfolio. That's the only thing which is going on in my mind.
Okay. Amit, a couple of sectors, though, are in the green. The EMS space, those stocks have got hit. There's been an allocation increase out there, so those stocks in the green. Data centers as well, that's another theme that's playing out today. Anything you like from there?
So there is no stock to buy in the data center space. What they did is very good till 2047, no taxes. But in India, there are no listed plays. A real estate company saying it's a data center company doesn't make it a data center company, right? And the other companies are just too expensive. So there are only 2 plays or 3 plays here. And none of them are like, see, you get Microsoft or, those kind of names at 30p. And here we're paying a lot higher for not great growth. So I wouldn't, there are no places to play. I love the theme. I wish I could, but there is no place to play there. There's no place to play in the data center.
Data center and EMS? EMS?
EMS, no, we don't have any exposure towards EMS right now. We cut all our positions in EMS before this, not before, I would say during the meltdown that happened. Right now, growth expectations for all EMS, while a few numbers were good, but growth expectation and valuations have corrected across, and it will take some time for EMS companies to go back to new heights. I don't think, see, they were the leaders of the previous bull market. Let the consolidation happen and then they'll lead the next bull market. I'm not bearish right now on these levels because they've already fallen like 40%, but I'm not hyper bullish. I don't think they will lead the bull market. A bull market needs a surprise, something that people are not expecting, and starts growing at 50%, 40%, 60%. Actually, numbers were very good for the second largest exchange. They were looking super good. The month of Jan has been super good for option volumes, etc. But this is going to be a sentiment change. I don't think the long-term trend changes for options. So but we still have to think again. Like, it's just 2 hours to this news, and we will have to rethink how we look about our portfolio.
Okay, Amit, we request you to join in again. For the time being, you're waiting for 3:30, but sounding a little bit cautious, and that pleasant surprise really eluded us today. If at all, someone was hoping that Finance Minister will deliver that for the equity markets in particular. Thanks a lot, Amit, for joining in. Enjoy the rest of the day. Let's welcome Gurmeet Chadha back on the show. Gurmeet, good afternoon. We spoke this morning. You were gunning for some kind of positive news. Doesn't seem to be the case. Finance Minister has gone ahead and increased STT, which may not be a very, very big factor, but for sentiment, it's definitely dented sentiment. Forget about any kind of leeway on STCG or LTCG. What have you all done today?
So haven't done much, Nigel. We've added a little bit in BFSI because the credit growth continues to be strong. Some of the names have really become cheap, like some of the HFCs like Bajaj Housing. The bank credit growth has been pretty solid at almost 14.5%. So added some names there. We are now, just dissecting more on this data center tax holiday. We are also looking at the ISM 2.0. And one of the big beneficiaries of data center is also the ancillaries and the ecosystem around it, which is, let's say, specialized battery makers, the energy players and the energy ancillary players. Also, defense capital outlay has gone up. So while the defense budget overall may look optically, a certain modest increase, but within the budget, the capital outlay part is the highest. And anyways, government has been doing emergency purchase there as well. So any weakness there, we'll probably see if we can do some funding. But overall, I think the sentiment needed a bit of an uplift, and it's just worked the other way. I think somewhere we are missing the point on interlinkage between capital markets, currency, sentiment, and investments. So I think that interlinkage is missing. We are taking ad hoc decisions, and somewhere, every year some change in taxation, STT or buyback or something or the other is hurting it. And I think we need more stability, we need more predictability, we need more simplicity. Too many changes almost every year.
And even in the buyback, there are different rates for a minority shareholder who will be now taxed at the LTCG, for promoters, for corporates, etc. So there is a tiered system now which comes into play for buyback. But it's been a tough day, no doubt, Gurmeet. This is the biggest budget day fall that we've seen in the last 6 years. Specifically about data centers, since you said that you are analyzing it, while you like the ancillary play here, but what about the stocks which are reacting now? E2E, Orient Pro, and Anantraj. Does it really move the needle for these stocks?
A little early to say, Rima, but as I said, something like, let's say, an HBL, which is into specialized batteries for data center, also into Railway Kavach, which is the security program. We are looking at that. It had a bit of a knock because, one of the order got cancelled, and then another one came yesterday. Something related to energy, because the overall big beneficiary of this entire data center AI play is energy. It needs tons of energy. So that's something we are looking at, both in terms of power equipments, PCB makers, other power equipments as well. And something I think which I found interesting was, these chemical parks and textile stuff. I think these two spaces have been very badly beaten down, especially chemicals. And we need to probably analyze and see. A lot of them are available at 8, 9, 10 times earnings. Some of them are actually available at 6, 7 times free cash flow. So lot of price damage there. And not today. I mean, I'm talking about last 2, 3 years. So we are dissecting that. So it's very focused, this budget, semiconductors, EMS, chemical parks, textiles. So you got to then, analyze more details and blueprint. But overall, I think, as I said, if you are discouraging short-term speculation, you need to encourage long-term investing also. That is how the balancing act is done. I think that the budget has missed the trick.
Gurmeet, we were just wondering why STT on equity derivatives are higher and not on commodity derivatives. Any thoughts? Any reason?
Don't know, Prashant. Maybe it will come next. Once the volume pick up, so if you see, there is a pattern here. They went after Dream 11, online.
मैं viewers को बता दूं, हम लोग हंस रहे हैं, but अभी जो क्या बोलते हैं?
Government is sending a clear signal.
नहीं, there is a, what is that song? जो मुस्कुरा रहे हो, क्या गम है जो छुपा रहे हो? हाँ, गुरमीत?
हाँ. So I was telling somebody कि भगवान का दिया सब कुछ है, बस equity taxation नहीं है. So.
The government wants everyone to focus on productive things. Cigarettes, the duty has gone up 40%. Dream 11, all those, real-time games, that's stopped. No FNO trading. Reformation.
Look at the market, guys, by the way.
Yeah, days low.
Wow, it's a plunge which has happened, and there's no other way to put it. 550 points down. So there is a swift kind of fall which is taking place. By the way, the day's low is 24,571, and we are at 750. Basically, we are about, the fall was so sharp in the morning. How much would we fall, guys, in the morning? 700 points?
Yes, 750 points.
Wow, 750 points at the day's low, which means that's the only reason why we are still about 200 points off the day's lowest level at this stage. But this is a very sharp cut which is materializing once again.
And without the full participation of the foreign investors.
Nigel, my sense is at some level people could be,
preempting,
shorting, thinking tomorrow FIs are going to come. As Ramdeshi said, how furious will they be?
Yeah.
Right? How angry will they be? Will they be sellers? So, I mean, it's possible people are kind of trying to preempt that move. The positioning data, etc., will tell us that a little later. Nifty Bank maybe as well.
It's down 1,300 points.
Wow.
Smash.
So 2% lower, and I think the Nifty mid-cap and small-cap indices is also selling off hard. 2.4. I mean, the low was so, the intraday sell-off was so large that on all these indices, they're still 1.5% away from the day's low. But these are large enough cuts in any case. Almost 600 gone now on the Nifty. So it's a poor Sunday for equity markets.
You know,
Not such a special Super Sunday, right?
Who
That
said
we
in the
were-
morning? Somebody said the color. Or so there was a guest who said that. At the NSE, you were at the NSE, and someone said that I hope it's not going to be.
You know, and today's low actually is coinciding with the September 30th low. We went down on September 30th to 24,587. And from there, we did see a bit of a bounce. The problem is now there's no real trigger, to get very, very excited about the markets. Hopefully earnings pick up, but otherwise that, that important trigger is missing, that reason to go ahead and buy. And just one more point, Prashant, you're making with regard to positioning. The factor that we track in terms of technicals is also the PCR. That's come down to 0.61. So normally we've seen it base out here, but we'll have to see. Tomorrow's going to be a rough morning, and then maybe some kind of stability is what we're looking forward to. But the PCR is moving towards that oversold level at around 0.61 as we speak.
Yeah. Mitesh is with us. Mitesh, sorry, you've been hearing and I didn't come to you earlier, but anything you'd recommend viewers do? Anything out there? Trades?
Couple of things, Prashant. One, I think, 24,950, 25,000 zone is taken out. But what is remaining is the Bank Nifty 58,200, 58,100 zone. If that goes, I would expect the Bank Nifty to head further lower, possibly till about 57,600 to begin with, and then 57,000, which means that in turn could put further pressure on the Nifty. So I think for the time being, the directional bias remains on the downside. We have maintained that we have had some put option spreads on the Nifty. I think we're holding on to them. And that apart, on the stock side, I have a sell on KFin Tech with a stop at about 910 for targets of 940. That's one trading call. And the other one is also a sell call, which is on MCX. It's come off the base low, but the structure is extremely weak. So if you want to sell now, keep a stop at about 2270. Look for targets of around 2120.
6 Nifty stocks which are managing to close up in the green: Max Healthcare, TCS, Wipro, Kotak Mahindra Bank and Sun Pharma. That's the only space where you can see green on the screen. Mitesh, any trades here? There seems to be a flight to safety when it comes to IT this morning, this trade.
So, IT, I still don't want to, look into it, but I was listening to the conversation which you had earlier, and a couple of these data center names, are showing some signs of reversal. I was looking at the charts of E2E, that's looking very good in the short term. I think, the stock declined from 3,800 all the way down to about sub 2,000 and is now giving you first signs of reversals. I think it could possibly, if you can keep a stop just below 2,200, maybe about 10-15 points further lower, I think the first target could be around 2,600, and in a good case scenario, even 2,800 on the upside could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Gurmeet, anything else you want to add? It's a poor day, what can one say? But 600 points now.
So we'll wait for tomorrow now, Prashant, because the full FI participation would probably come in tomorrow. Let's see. I think there will be very sharp moves, and I think till such time, I think it's good to preserve some cash. Fortunately, we have some. But let's see. We were hoping to deploy today, but the market has taken all of us by surprise. But as I said, few things will stand out eventually once things settle, because there's not much incremental damage as far as things at the economy or market level is concerned. So maybe BFSI, auto, wherever the trends are positive, economic momentum is good, might present some opportunities, but good to wait for some time. Also, this metal meltdown, margin calls getting triggered will have some impact. So that may actually work to your favor in some time. May not be immediately, but maybe with a lag.
Market breadth is completely swung. 2:1 on the other side. So 1,000 stocks are higher. Some 2,100 stocks on the NSE are lower right now. And it's, Hindustan Copper, just the big volume-led losers, right? I mean, I think I can count at least, it's a long list of 10% losers today. Hindustan Copper, MCX, BSE, Hindustan Zinc, Nalco, Garden Reach, Mazgaon, BDL, that big rally in defense, all sold into. And this is something we were talking about earlier as well. Angel One, the gold ETFs, Muthoot Finance, Silver Bees, Bank of India, Nuvama, Paras Defense, Indian Bank, IIFL down 10. And that's just, I guess, half the list, because it's a really long list of just severe amount of selling pressure which came through and showed up in terms of trade today, guys.
Well, that's right. A lot of selling is what we've seen across the board actually in today's trading session. Rima, you want to highlight a few more names?
Well, on the way down, it's mostly related to the commodity names. So Hindustan Copper, MCX, many of the ETFs, Nippon India Silver ETF. Defense stocks corrected sharply. There was anticipation of a bigger increase, but there was disappointment visible on Bharat Dynamics, BEL, PSU banks under pressure, Bank of India. In the frontline pack, we had Hindalco, ONGC, SBI. These are stocks with cuts in excess of more than 5%. On the way up, I think IT goes home as the only sectoral index which managed to close in the green.
Well, on that note, though, we'll wrap up on our special coverage. More news and updates continue right here on CNBC TV 18. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to this budget special. I am Rima. With me is Nigel, and markets crashed on budget day. The key indices were down 2%. The Nifty at that 24,800 mark. The Sensex selling off nearly 1,500 points. And of course, the biggest culprit was the sentiment dampener was the increase in STT on the derivatives market.
Well, that's right, Rima. Let's do a quick wrap, though, of what took place in today's trading session. Yes, as you said, the Nifty was down, and you did have the Nifty Bank as well that was under pressure in today's trading session. A very, very difficult day of trade. As you can see, all the indices, the Nifty ending down close to around 500 points. At one point of time, we were down close to around 700 points. The biggest hit really today came in terms of sentiment. No one was factoring in, or at least the buzz was not very, very loud, that an STT hike could come about. That's precisely what the finance minister did announce. And because of that, you had all these market players, whether you're looking at Angel One, BSE, CDSL, all of them took a sharp knock in today's trading session. There was an expectation that the defense-related names, they'll see a higher allocation. To be fair, actually, the allocation is quite high. However, those stocks had already run up in anticipation, and that's why those stocks did come in for profit-taking. BEL, Bharat Dynamics, as well as HAL, all of them sharply lower in today's trading session. Bharat Dynamics, in fact, had put on a good amount of weight getting into this event, and all that got sold into. So those stocks were under pressure. The other problem was the gross market borrowing. That number came higher than expected at around 17 lakh crore, or the street was bracing for a number of around 16 to around 16.5 lakh crore. And because of that, the PSU banking names, after seeing a good run up in the last few trading sessions, they did come in for profit taking. Even Big Boy, SBI did see some selling. PNB as well did end lower in today's trade. The other couple of names, though, did pretty well. So let's highlight a couple of winners. Data center plays. There was a bit of a booster shot that came in for them. So Anant Raj, E2E Networks. Remember, these are stocks that have already seen a sharp correction. You have NetWeb Technologies as well. That was higher. Let's get some of those stocks running for you on the screen. And Orient Pro, some kind of play with regard to data center. We'll have to see how it actually plays out. For the time being, though, these stocks did pretty well. Precious metal stocks, though, they did correct over the weekend. And today, some of those stocks that are direct play in terms of precious metals, they came in for profit taking. MCX was down close to around 10% in trade. You had Muthoot Finance as well. That was lower because, that in the entire up move that we saw on gold, Muthoot Finance as well did play out. And Hindustan Zinc, Vedanta just sold a % stake in the company at much higher levels. And today, post that correction that we saw on silver, well, those stocks, in fact, were lower. The AMS companies, though, there was a hike in terms of the PLI component, and because of that, those stocks did well. So Amber, Keynes, both of them, they outperformed in today's trading session. Moving to some of those IT sector names, there was some kind of relief that came because of the harbor turnover threshold for IT services. That was increased. Some kind of booster shot coming in with simplification of buyback rules as well. That's what pushed these stocks up. So you had Wipro that was higher in today's trading session. Finally, there was a fear that there's going to be a hike in gold import duty. Didn't come about, so you had the jewelers that actually did pretty well. Titan came off the highs, so that stock was trading in the green. And in today's market, a stock trading in the green actually was a bit of a rarity. And Kalyan Jewelers as well, after the kind of selling that we're seeing, that stock as well moved up. The other space that actually did see some kind of a bounce from the lows was the OMCs, because the excise duty hike on oil hasn't really been announced. We'll have to see how the arithmetic works. But HPCL, after CNBC TV 18, got some clarification on that front. That stock as well ended higher. But Rima, what a day of trade, right? No one would have thought. Came in with some optimism that maybe there'll be something that'll be done to spur sentiment, to get the FIs back. That didn't come about. The STT hike, that's something that's prolonged the pain, actually, from an equity market perspective.
Completely spooked the market, and this is the biggest single-day fall that we've seen on a budget day in the last 6 years. In fact, let's go across to Yash to talk about what is the biggest overhang on the market, this increase in the STT on derivatives. Yash.
Well, Rima, just yesterday there were certain counters from where there was a very faint noise around STT increase which was being heard. Of course, yesterday it was only a chatter. And today it played out exactly as per the script. The government, through its budget, hiking the securities transaction tax or STT on equity options to 0.15% from 0.1%. That's a hike of about 50% in STT on equity options and on equity futures, STT being hiked from 0.15% to 0.15% from 0.05%. That's a 150% hike in STT on equity futures. Now, an important clarification where the market was into some bit of confusion in the early announcement time, and that was that this STT is only on equity options and futures and not on commodity transactions. So that is an important clarification which came about from experts as the day went, but indeed a very steep hike when it comes to the securities transaction tax, which is expected to hit very hard as far as those high frequency trade, those multiple transactions are concerned as far as futures and options is concerned. From the listed player point of view, of course, there are certain players on the market which are severely impacted, and that showed in the stock price as well. For Angel One, FNO transactions contribute about 44% of their revenue. BSE, it contributes about 55% of their revenue. NSE, it contributes about 70% of their revenue. These numbers are as on FY25, and the change in taxation is expected to impact this side of the revenue directly. There was a very interesting tweet which came from Nitin Kamath, I'm sorry, and that was projected STT collection for FY25-26 was 78,000 crores. The government was falling short by about 25%. This coming about will take care of that deficit, hopefully, in the coming financial year.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that. Yash, well, let's focus on the other sector, defense. That was on the offensive the last few trading sessions. Today, they actually got what they wanted, but the stocks did sell off. Ria joins in to break down the numbers for us. Ria, take it away.
Well, yes, the government this time around has announced a total defence budget of 7.85 lakh crores. Now, compare this to last year's budget of 6.81 lakh crores. It's an increase of roughly 15%. So, the expectations on this front range from 10 to 15%. So, this is at the top end of the expectations. The defence expenditure has been announced at 5.95 lakh crore rupees for the year, up 21% compared to last year's budget. Defence capital allocation has also been announced at 2.31 lakh crores versus 1.92 lakh crores in FY26, and this is also an increase of roughly 20% compared to last year, also in line with the expectations that the street was working with. There has also been a 24% increase in the budget for defence modernization, which is a bit positive. Apart from this, they have also allocated roughly rupees 63,734 crores for aircraft and aero engines for defence, which is a 31% increase compared to last year's outlay. Now, in terms of the market reaction, the Nifty Defence Index ended roughly 5.4% lower today, recovering from its lows of 7 to 8%. And in fact, at one point of the trading session earlier, before the budget was announced, it was up by roughly 2% earlier in the session. Now, the street seems to be disappointed by the fact that there were no separate announcements or schemes that were announced for certain segments like drones, UAVs, electronic warfare, defense electronics, missiles, even for arms and ammunition or for indigenization as a whole. So that is where the street seems to be disappointed. But overall, this was a very healthy increase in the capital allocation as well as for the overall defense budget.
Thank you very much for that. It's over to Ekta now for more on what came out on the biopharma.
Well, yes, I'll start with, Biopharma Shakti, which was announced. So it's around a 10,000 crore biopharma scheme which was launched, which is aimed to make India a biopharma hub, build domestic biologics manufacturing. So there are 3 new NIPER institutes which are planned, 7 existing NIPER institutes which will be upgraded, and 1,000 plus accredited clinical trial sites which are proposed as well. It is a sentiment positive for the sector. Biocon, Dr. Reddy, Sun Pharma, Lupin, Glenmark, just to name a few. In terms of hospitals and diagnostics, medical tourism push, so 5 regional medical hubs are planned. It will be a public-private partnership model. Integrated healthcare complexes are proposed as well. Listed beneficiaries include the likes of Apollo, Fortis, Max Healthcare, Dr. Lal's, Metropolis, all of these stocks in focus. But remember, while this is a positive, the execution will be something that the street will be watching for in terms of all of these announcements and the material impact eventually on the earnings as well.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Ekta, for that. Hopping across to Upasana, she brings us some good news with regard to a few of those companies from the EMS space that actually did well. Upasana, tell us.
Well, under the ECMS scheme, the investment outlay has been increased from 22,919 crore to 40,000 crore. Mind you that the ECMS scheme was first notified in April 2025 with a budget outlay of 22,919 crore for a period of 6 years. with the aim to build $500 billion electronic manufacturing ecosystem by 2030-31. Now, we are assessing a positive impact on EMS players given the high allocation, which means more approvals for the companies. Now, if you look at the latest development in October 2025, MEIT has approved the first batch of 7 projects under ECMS involving manufacturing of copper-clad PCBs and even camera modules. Now, the approved players so far include Keynes Tech, which has received approvals in all the categories that they have applied. Syrma SGS and Amber have also got approvals for multi-layer board. And now lastly, coming to Dixon, the approvals for display application and even optical transceiver is awaited in the upcoming tranches of ECMS approvals. So all in all, certainly a positive news for EMS space.
Thank you very much for that. And on that note, we'll slip into a short break. On the other side, Feroz Aziz of Anand Rathi Wealth and Rajashri Sabnavis of Grant Thornton Advisory will be joining in. Hello and welcome. You're still tuned into this special budget programming on CNBC TV 18. A lot of announcements and taxation, of course, that is one important aspect to discuss. What it means for you as an investor, how does it impact your profits, how does it impact you on a daily basis? Let's get to that and understand more on the impact. Joining us today are Feroz Aziz of Anand Rathi Wealth, and we also have Rajashri Sabnavis joining us. She's from Grant Thornton Bharat. Feroz and Rajashri, thank you so much for joining in. Well, you know,
of course, we've been talking about that hike in securities transaction tax, the change in buyback taxes. Before we discuss those in greater detail, what stood out for you in the budget when it comes to personal finance and personal taxes? Rashi, let me begin with you, and then I'll come across to you, Feroz.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me on this panel. I think if one were to look at from a market standpoint, I would segregate into small investors, small and retail investors, and large corporates and the traders. Every effort has been made in this budget to essentially protect the small shareholders, and you've seen some of the announcements. In fact, they go to the fundamental. The second is, when we talk about investors, I think the serious investors would clearly look at the actual fundamental growth and the growth trajectory that we as a country are at. And some of the announcements that has been made, keeping in mind the global uncertainty and the headwind, tailwind, whatever you may refer to, I think that's something which we should be considering. And from a tax standpoint, the promise was made in terms of not too many changes, simplifying and ensuring that the smaller taxpayers face less compliance burden. I think every effort has been made in this budget to walk the talk.
Okay, take that
so
point.
If you want examples, I can quickly touch upon it, but I guess it's up to you.
No, of course. I'll come back to you on that example quickly. Rashri, let me go across to Feroz. Feroz, what stood out for you in the budget from a personal tax perspective? We did see securities transaction tax on F&O getting hiked. Do you think that would impact arbitrage funds and ultimately the returns for an investor there?
Yes, Sonal. First, let me touch upon the direct tax. I think one thing, if you're a viewer and if you're watching, if you're in the old tax regime, it is apparent to naked eye that you should not swim against the tide. There are about 74%, 73% of them have now moved to the new tax regime. If you are a part of the 26%, I think this budget is the last nail in the coffin for the old tax regime. And you should try and move to the new one at ASAP and not get into these small deductions, because there was no tampering there. And the new tax regime is so lucrative that you shouldn't miss it out. That's point one. Point two, when it comes to STT, I think there's a large implications, different kinds of implication of the STT. One is there's a key message. That's not just an STT change. If you read the para in the proposed bill, you will see it as we are trying to discourage the futures and options trading platform and the higher volumes which are there. It's not just about tax collection. How much tax do we collect in STD? 48,000 crores, if I'm not wrong. That will not materially change because of this tax change. It is a message that we don't want trading mindset capital market like the US. We want a more investor-friendly market than a trader-friendly market. That's why you see the traders are spoofed and they want to quit today and bring down Nifty by about 600 points. So it is investor-friendly, trader-unfriendly. That's one message. The second thing, if you see the nuance or the fine print, says that interest expense will not be allowed to set off against the dividend if you have borrowed to invest in the market. Again, leveraged market positions are also discouraged. So that's where I would